Hey, Divine Feminines, namaste. I hope you're all having a beautiful morning. I'm really sorry I haven't been on here the past week. I know I keep saying that, but things come up, and I guess when we're on our spiritual journey and we're on our healing journey, lots of things come up. And sometimes we have to go inside to process them things. But I hope you're all well. I hope the energy has been kind to you. It really has for me. I've really learned how to go into myself and do that inner work in the silence, and that's kind of what this message is. I had a few channelings yesterday. My energy goes really, really drained when I'm about to connect and when I'm about to get messages off the divine, and that's exactly what happened yesterday for me. So I just took time and I surrendered, and that is a massive part of, I guess, the process of healing. Sometimes we try and our minds are our own worst enemies, and we try and work things out and we try and take control of the situation by constantly overthinking things, constantly replaying things in the backs of our minds, and it just causes more depression, it causes more anxiety, it causes more just confusion in general, really. So the art of surrendering when you're in that process and just being like, do you know what? The energy's crazy. I don't know all the answers, so I'm just going to give it up and I'm going to surrender and just live in the present moment. That is one of the most important keys for me, I guess, in my healing journey. And how I've been able to manage my emotions through some of the hardest times of my life. And instead of letting them control me, I can now control them. So surrendering was one of my main things yesterday. And just going with the flow, I felt tired, I was tired, and I accepted it, and I didn't feel bad for it. I didn't beat myself up for it. I didn't do no yoga. I haven't done no readings for a couple of weeks. But that was okay. And last night I was really, really drawn to just surrendering, So I pulled some cards for myself. And then I jumped in the bath about 10:30, I think. Third bath I'd run because the first two my children took. And I just sat in the bath and loads of channelings come through, one after the other. So I had to get my son to get a book, and I wrote some things down, but they really resonated for me for the Divine Feminine journey. So this is why I'm here today, sharing what I got last night with you, because I really feel like it will benefit. I don't think the messages were just for me. I really think that they were for the collective Divine Feminine energy. So the first thing I got, while lying in my bath with my lavender all over me and just totally being in that present moment, I'm totally loving myself. I got going to bed with a clean conscience is a gift. Okay, and that again, I go back to the mental charter and the fog, and sometimes we get hurt by bad people, okay, and we think that them bad people just get away with it. I'm really getting really tired right now, so I must be channeling. We think that them people that do these things to us get away with it, but there is something in us called a conscience, okay? And I watched something going back last year, I think, about the conscience is actually our God self talking to us. So if we do something wrong, or if we manipulate, or we do something wrong, basically, our conscience inside of us is going to eat us alive, okay? And then there comes the mental charter, and there comes the confusion and anxiety and depression and so on and so on. So I really felt like that message was basically for the ones of us that have got a clean conscience, okay, and do understand that bad things happen to good people. And sometimes we feel so unjustified by what's happened to us because the other people are just getting on with life, and we are there left with the scars, and we are there left with the depression and the anxiety and the confusion. But we have a clear conscience, and when you fully accept that and fully understand that we may have been hurt, and we may have been manipulated, and we may have been used, and we may have been abandoned, and all these things that are coming up right now in the collective, and especially for the Divine Feminines, but also for the Divine Masculine as well, is coming up to be healed, okay? But if you have got the gift of a clear conscience, I just seen 444, Namaste Spirit. If you have got a gift of a clear conscience, then if you go to bed with a clear conscience, it is an absolute gift, okay? Because these people that do these things to us. Yes, narcissists do not have empathy, but everybody has a conscience, okay? And it can come in the form of, they may not have empathy, they may not sit there and think, oh my God, what have I done? I want to repent, I want forgiveness, and they may not go down that road, okay? Because I've said it before in other videos, everybody's here on this earth for different reasons, okay? And we've got to have the light, and we've also got to have the dark. So some people are born with narcissistic tendencies. Some people are meant to heal and some people are not meant to heal, you know, but guaranteed the conscience will show up in different ways in their life, whereas they may get depression, they may get anxiety, there'll be an ongoing situation, an ongoing suffering for the things that they have done. They may not admit it because the ego is massive, but their conscience very much is there, okay, and it will manifest in different areas of their lives. But for us that have been hurt and been in them situations, I've just seen 555 namaste, for us that have been in them situations, and we spend months in the dark night of the soul trying to work out why all these things always happen to us, why we got rejected, why, you know, there's something wrong with us. If you know you've done nothing wrong, if your conscience is clear and you've never hurt anybody, I feel like Spirit was saying to me loud and clear right now, last night, that is the gift in all of it, okay? Because a lot of people go to bed without a clear conscience, you know, and they worry, and then they have to do manipulation games or lies on top of the things that they've already done. Can you imagine how tangled our brain is? Can you imagine how tangled and warped them emotions are, you know? And I'm sure the people that do go to bed with not a clear conscience suffer a lot more than the ones that do go to bed with a clear conscience. So I feel like that was definitely a message of Spirit to say, don't worry about the people that hurt you, because as long as you've got a clear conscience and as long as you understand that you haven't hurt anybody, that is an absolute gift. And then I go, being the Empress is valuing yourself, to be gentle on yourself, but also take everything, no, but also, sorry guys, they were just everywhere last night, knowing boundaries, to simply say no, I deserve more, and then give that time to yourself. Be grateful for the small bits, okay? So I had this when I was lying in the bath yesterday, literally from morning till night, something come up, you know. I couldn't get things done in the morning because my son and his girlfriend come up, and then something happened with the dog, then the children come home, then I ran 3 baths, and I finally got in the bath after all the children were bathed at 10:30 in the night. And normally that would have been for me a trigger, okay, before I'd healed, before I had become aware of my wounds, and before I'd become aware of my own toxicity inside of me. Them little things would have all built up inside of me and triggered me and put me in a negative energy, in a negative emotion. So I didn't feel that last night because I surrendered, okay? So when you surrender and you're like, do you know what? I haven't got all the answers. I don't know what's going on here. I can't control what's going on every step of the way. Things are gonna come up sometimes, you know. Sometimes you can be really looking forward to something, like the second bath I had run. I was really looking forward to that bath, and then one of my babies wanted one. I'm not saying he's not a baby, he's 15, but I was like, yes, you go in first. Now that would have all brought emotions and brought negative energies, like I said, up into me before I had healed. But because I had surrendered and because I just lived in that present moment, that's when Spirit connected with me, and that's when I got all these messages. But you know, knowing, where was it? Being the Empress is valuing yourself and being gentle on yourself, valuing yourself enough, right? Okay, because the kids tested me yesterday, you know. It was mom do this, mom do that, mom do this, and in the end I was just like, no, no, this is my time, this is my bath. And once I've had a bath, then, because my kids range from the age of 7 to 18, so there is not many hours in the day, I guess, except for when they're in school, that I get peace. I tend to bounce from one to another, and there's different times because they're all different ages, you know. But valuing yourself is also being able to put them healthy boundaries in, okay? Yes, I can be a good mom, and yes, I can give them the baths that I run and, you know, feed them before myself and be the mommy that I want to be. But I also value myself enough to say, well, hang on a minute, this is my hour of peace. And once I've done my hour of peace, and once I've done what I need to do for me, then I will be there for you, okay? And I know this is a really hard thing for empaths to do. A lot of us get stuck on this because we've grown up so long people pleasing. All our lives we've overcompensated for who we are because we've never felt good enough, and we've always felt like we need to give more to people. So when we do put boundaries in, we actually sometimes can feel like bad people. But then if I had continued to give all my energy last night and not had a bath and not put my salts on and laid in my oils and just being the goddess that I felt in that bath, then I would have got out, or I may not have even had a bath, sorry, and I would have been erratic, and I would have been frustrated, and I would have been drained. So it's very, very important. It's so important, especially, well, for all of us, but if you are healing, to be able to put them boundaries in and to be able to say no in the nicest way, you know, no, this is taking the pee, this is taking the pee, no, you can do what you need to do for yourself. And again, this goes back to, I guess, because I'm bringing up masculines, I'm bringing up little masculines, and I've seen in my own family and in other friendships and things, the parenting roles of mothers that do too much for children, you know, that do too much, and we enable them children, and they then become the enabled narcissistic people that we see today, that think that they can get away with everything and somebody will just do it for you, okay? But I'm really very conscious of this in my own family and the way that I bring my children up, and this is how I'm trying to teach them. So yes, we're doing ourselves justice by giving ourselves the boundaries and learning to say no and putting ourselves first, but we're also teaching other people, okay? I'm teaching my sons that they need to do things for themselves, that being an independent person and doing things for themselves and learning how to do things for themselves is a blessing in this world, and then that will roll on and a knock-on effect in their life to understand that they can't treat people like an option, or they can't treat people for their own personal gain, you know. So we have to look at it that way, that we are, yes, ultimately giving to ourselves when we're setting healthy boundaries, but we're also teaching other people, our children and the friends around us and the family around us, how to treat us and how to treat others as well, okay? And then I go, take everything you give to others and give it to yourself. Now I had a vision because I was laying in that bath, and this is why this is a divine feminine message. I was laying in that bath full of the lavenders, and just, you know, the day that I had full of dog sick and the kids, and just I couldn't get anything done. I was physically drained, you know. A couple of months ago, if I'd been in that situation, I would have cried and I would have been upset and I would have hated on myself. But I laid in that bath with all my lavender all over me, smelling all the oils in the bath and just feeling like a bloody goddess. I really did. I felt sexy. I felt owning myself, and I didn't do it for anybody else except for myself. And that is another gift, girls, because going back to like the trend of getting dressed up and looking good and going out and having the attention of masculines, and that makes us feel like we're important, or that makes us feel like we're worthy, or that makes us feel like we're attractive. But when we do all them things and give it to ourselves, then we can feel sexy, attracted, wanted by ourselves, okay? And you might be sitting there thinking, well, what's the point in that? But the point in that is that you can feel sexy, you can feel attractive, and you can feel enough, and you don't need to prove that to anybody else, okay? You can. And I was laying in that bath and I had the vision of just pulling my energy back to me, because we give so much, and especially as feminines, of our sexual energy, of our bodies, of our nurturing, of our caring, of our kindness to relationships, and even to children as well, our children. And I know that we're mammies and that's what we're meant to do, but we're also women, and we also need to have that energy for ourselves so we can go on and look after them children and bring them up properly, without the triggers and without the grumpiness and the crying and the tears, which the kids don't want to see, because they will grow up and then mimic that. So I just had a vision of like a a woman, and she was a goddess, and she was just pulling all that energy back that she'd given sexually, mentally, emotionally, and materialistically back to herself, and giving it all back to herself, and just being in that goddess energy. And this is why I know that it was a divine feminine reading, and this is why I wanted to give that channeling out today in this video. So yeah, it was just really empowered and free. Empowered and free. And this is how we feel when we can finally get to that level of not needing to please anybody, not needing to do things, not needing to look a certain way, not needing to be, you know, dressed up or put our makeup on to impress somebody else, to give our bodies to somebody else. I could just be last night, you know, and then I jumped in clean pajamas and I jumped in bed and I was whole and I was happy, and I wasn't giving any of that energy to anybody else except for me. So I really do feel like that was a massive part of the collective healing energy I've been intuitively feeling, as a collective, you know, for all of us to understand that we can still be goddesses, we can still be beautiful, we can still smell beautiful, we can put our favourite clothes on, we can put our sexy underwear on for ourselves, not for anybody else. So we stay in that powerful energy and we don't give it to other people, we don't give it to other masculines. And then I had knowing boundaries, to simply say no, I deserve more, and then give that time to yourself. Be grateful for the small bits. So again, I guess it was just a roll-on message. Indulge in yourself, okay? Like last night, it was 10:30 before I got in the bath. And I only had an hour in the bath, and that was the only hour, I guess, of the day that I could indulge in myself. But be grateful for the small bits, be grateful for that 1 hour, and spend that 1 hour just loving you, just shutting the world out, putting them boundaries in place, and giving all that love to yourself. You know, it literally sets you free. And then I had, so this was a bit about connecting to source, because I felt very connected last night. I pulled a load of cards for myself and the channelings, and I was like, well, how have I done this? Because we live so much, and I know how I done it, because I disconnected and I surrendered, and that every time I do that, then source comes through. But because we spend so much time with other people, around other people, listening to other people's problems, trying to fix other people's problems, give, we're not giving back to ourselves. And this is how we get confused and we get depressed, because we're not listening to, we can't get that connection to our higher self, our angels, our guides, and we're lost, you know. So the most important bit in that is surrendering and asking our guides and our ancestors, who were all around me last night, to just show me the way. And that is how they done it. So the more connected when I ask, relax, put up boundaries, and give it up to God. So again, it's about being like, God, universe, source, whoever you believe in, I haven't got all the answers, but I just know that you're there for me. I know that you're going to show me the way, and give it up to God and relax. And as soon as you do, everything flows, okay? You allow that energy to just flow, because we keep these blockages in our chakras, okay? And if there's one chakra that's blocked, it's going to affect every single other chakra, and then it's going to leave a massive confusion in our mind, because this is our connection to source. So say if you're ungrounded, so your root chakra, and you feel scared financially and things like that, it's going to affect every single chakra inside of us. So by giving it up, surrendering to source, allows us to let that energy flow through us, so we can think clearly and we can listen to our higher selves, instead of programming that other people have put on us, instead of wounds, instead of fears, instead of all these lower level energies, and we can listen to ourselves, okay? And that will set you free. And then I just go, straighten your crown. You're doing this for yourself, nobody else. And that is something that we massively need to get. Like I said, I go back to the reference I just said about we think on a Friday night or a Saturday night. I know I did in my younger years, that we have to get dressed up. And if a lot of men look at us, or if we get a lot of attention, then that makes us be something. That makes us be better than the us that was in our pajamas a couple of hours ago with no makeup on. Do you know what I mean? That makes, but then that is not ever going to give you the freedom that you need, because you're constantly going to be looking for validation outside of yourself instead of looking for it inside of you, okay? And knowing that you are enough, even when you've got your pajamas on, even when you've got no makeup on, even when you're a bit smelly because you've cleaned the house all day. Do you know what I'm not saying? You should say smelly. You should always clean and look after yourself. That is massively important as well as self-love, you know? Like, I go back to the bath situation, giving yourself that time, even if it is just an hour, to act like a goddess, to know that you are a goddess and own that energy and every single part of you. But yeah, straighten up that crown. You're not doing this for anybody else, okay? On this journey, you're going to lose people. On this journey, you're going to be alienated. On this journey back to self, you're going to lose people that are not resonating with you or not ready to get on your level, okay? But you don't need to prove that to anybody. You don't need to prove who you are to anybody except for yourself. You don't need to get dressed. I mean, it's lush to get dressed up and it's lush to go out and it's lush to feel like a queen, but you must always have it in your mind, Divine Feminines, that you're doing it for yourself, that you want to look pretty and you want to be smelling beautiful and that you want to feel healthy in your body for you. Do that yoga for you. Buy them that sexy underwear for you. And then I swear to God, you won't need any validation from anybody else. You'll straighten that crown and you'll understand that everything that you were doing is better in your life for yourself. And you don't need to prove it to anybody. I think I've read all of them. And yeah, that just really flowed through me last night for the Divine Feminines. And I also got a card of Undine, the Undine Cross. Now, I seen this in my third eye as I was in the bath. This is the Shamanic Healing cards. 1 second, I'll get a book and I'll read the card for you. It's a number 2. And we are in a universal 222 year, which number 2s are all about duality, are all about union. Okay, and this card, I will talk a little bit about it because I did read the book this morning, is basically is the upper world, the lower world, and what directions and what we need to do to become whole and enlightened, which is source in the middle of this card. So let me just go and get the book 1 second. Do I have the book? Yeah, I've got the book. Sorry. So yeah, I found this very poignant as to all the other messages that I was getting as far as like surrendering and being in the present moment. And when I done that and I started actually feeling unconditional love for myself and feeling like I was a goddess in that bath last night, that was everything, the shadow and the lower shadows, the higher realm, everything merging into one to be able to show me what direction I needed to go in. So I'll just read this card for you. So the essence of this card is the Undine Cross represents the cosmology of the shaman. It depicts the 4 cardinal directions, the upper, the lower worlds, and the steps to reach these realms. The hole in the center is a gateway to interdimensional travel, the proverbial eye of the needle we can all go through to experience higher states of awareness and wisdom to break free from linear time. Okay, and then the invitation on this card is the Undine Cross announces the start of a great journey. It's time to raise your gaze from the mundane day to day to that which until now has seemed beyond your grasp. Allow new wisdom to guide you and stop trying to make sense of it all before you respond with a resounding yes. Okay, so again, this card is telling us to stop trying to control the outcome, stop worrying, stop feeling like you have to go a million miles an hour, you have to get everything done, you have to be the winner, you have to have the most attention, you have to surrender and just say yes and let spirit guide your way. Then you become, you get into this eye of the needle and you see everything that you need to see, you see the directions that you need to take, okay, to be able to connect the higher self of you to the human self of you, the light side of you to the dark side of you, and merge it into one. Okay, and I also did get, but I didn't write it down because I was in bed a little bit later on, about our shadow side. Okay, and it was something along the lines, because my channelings come through so quick and they're so fast and like one after the other, sometimes I forget them. It was about merging our shadow side, okay? And I've kind of touched on this in my conscience all week as far as our shadows are our fears, okay? So for me, one massive part of my shadow is I will do really, really well and I will be smashing life and I'll own myself and all my connection is there, and then I'll run away. I'll get scared of the power. I'll get scared of the success. And I think a lot of us empaths do, because, and a lot of us with gifts do, because it's like, I don't want to be special. I just want to be me. I don't want to prove to anybody. I just want to be me. But if you have got gifts and you have got the, you know, abilities and clairvoyance and so on, then that's for a reason, and that reason is to go on and help other people in this world heal and ascend and grow and learn as well, okay? But the shadow is a part of us, okay? And the more that we run away from it, and the more that we get what's the word, down about it. So my shadow is running away, and my shadow is feeling not good enough, and so on and so on. So when that shadow does come up, like for example yesterday, you know, my shadow side, and like last week that I weren't doing my readings and things, that could have made me hate myself, that could have made me think I'm not good enough, that could have made me go into that low mode. But when I embraced that shadow, and when I understood that it's okay to be lazy sometimes, because that is another shadow of mine, I can get lazy, okay? But then when I incorporate that laziness into meditation and into looking after myself, and put effort in the laziness and effort into understanding why I'm being lazy, and using that energy of laziness to my advantage, okay, then I've merged my shadow and my light, and I've become whole, okay? I'm accepting my laziness, I'm accepting my shadow, I'm accepting and using it for good, and not using it for shame, blame, guilt, etc., etc. Our shadow is a part of us, okay? Our sun is our personality, is what we portray into this world, but also our moon is our subconscious and our hidden parts. We need both. We need both the sun and the moon. We need both the light and the dark. It's not this shadow part of us we need to get rid of when we're healing. No, it's not that at all. It's embracing that shadow and understanding that that shadow is just as beautiful as our light. Our darkness is just as beautiful as our light, and we can then use our shadow to make magic, to make and create out of our shadows. For example, I did last night, you know, I created something beautiful out of the shadow that I was going through, the darkness, perhaps the confusion, the laziness. I decided to create something beautiful out of it and take my power back from it. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to go now. And yeah, that was just a challenge that I got basically for the Divine Feminine on our healing journey. It's about balancing it all, okay, and surrendering and being in union with yourself. As soon as you do that, beautiful things happen. So I'm going to go now. I'm also going to put I'm going to get straight onto it now while I'm feeling these energies, a spirit guide message today, because I really feel like the guides are there right now really guiding us. So that's going to be up in a few hours as well. So I hope you have a beautiful day. Namaste.